Get started with Coach Neighbors. Coach, you want to talk a little bit about where the team's at and the exhibition on Friday night?
Sure. Team's outside, getting ready to practice. Getting there. We are still treating even through Friday as preseason. We'll flip the page from preseason to end season after Friday night. We did a closed door scrimmage last week. This will be our only exhibition game. So time to do that. Really pleased with where they are. I don't know what the end of this picture looks like with this team yet, but we have a lot of really, really unique. You can't be really unique. You're either unique or you're not. We have unique pieces that I've never had all under the same roof or on the same team at the same time. So it's been a lot of fun for our staff. Been a challenge for us to every day make it competitive and go through the evaluation process of exactly what we have on the floor. I feel like going into our kind of like our final exam on Friday. I feel like we've got 9 kids that are expecting to start. And by my last count, that's 4 too many. So we've got a lot of good competition going on. We're going to have some work to do on role development and shot distribution and playing time. But that's what is fun about this. We've got options that we've never had in the past. So new challenges for us as a staff, new challenges for them as players. To get it together and build it into a cohesive puzzle that we all know what it can and should look like. So excited to get to play in front of our fans. And the last thing I'll say is congratulations to the guy that used to sit in front of y'all announcing his retirement, Coach Blair, this last week. I think everybody knows our story with me and he and him, that I wouldn't be sitting in front of you had he not given me a chance a long time ago. So I'm glad that he's going to be able to go out the way he wants to go out, and we'll get a chance to honor him for a full year.
Paul, we'll start with you.
Hey, Coach, can you just talk about what you've seen? You said you got to see a closed door scrimmage. What stuck out to you in that scrimmage?
We are in better shape than I suspected that we might be. I was really pleased with how well conditioned we were. I know that our strength and conditioning staff with Dave and Tyler do a great job, but you never know till you get out there. Weight room strong and training room strong is 2 different things and in shape. And I thought we played really well for a long period of time. I do think we're deep. I think we've got more depth than we've had, so we can play even faster. I'm not sure we can play as functionally yet, but we are playing pretty fast. We had too many turnovers. We got to clean that up. We're better defensively because we have better defensive players, and they are really, really trying hard. Our schemes aren't great. We haven't worked on it a whole lot, but I was really pleased with how well we played up there. And Coach Schaefer brought up a really good point the other day. Because of how we've been defending ourselves in practice, you kind of naturally get better at defense a little bit. So it was the first time. We don't talk a lot about what happened, but I will tell you, I will share with you that Brandon Schneider said to me something that no other head coach has ever said to me as a head coach. He said, "Man, y'all really hurt us on the boards." So that has never, ever been uttered to me following any game ever. So that's a plus.
I was follow up one thing with what do you feel like you've seen from Michaela as you and I have talked before about her leadership, and how is she, how is that shown with this group?
Well, you used to have to look to see it. Now you can hear it too. She's more vocal. She's done it for 60 games. She started 60 straight games for us, and y'all are going to get me preaching to y'all already how underrated I think the kid is and overlooked, but she's even better. She's a better leader. She's a better shooter. She's a better driver. She's a better passer. She's a better talker in defense. She's just better at everything that we've seen. And now it's a little bit more vocal. I mean, she was just in my office today asking me something she would have never asked as a first or a second year kid. I don't know what to call kids anymore. I'm calling them by how many years they've been on our campus. I've completely gotten rid of classification. So she's a 3rd-year kid that acts like she's been here forever. But everything that you've seen in the past, Paul, just better.
Carolyn, go ahead.
We try.
Coach, you talked about new challenges. Congratulations on the new baby neighbors.
Thank you. That's one of them.
Yeah, exactly. But also in talking in terms of challenges, Destiny, Amber, Chelsea, all move on. How do you fill those roles?
Well, Amber's easy to fill because she's back. So we won't miss her. She is coming back. So that one we won't. We won't replace Chelsea and Destiny at all. They are so versatile and impactful in what they did. But it will be by committee. It won't be one person doing it. It'll be, Marquisha and Riley together making up what Chelsea did. It'll be, one of the incoming freshmen, Sam Spencer, and Marquisha making up what Destiny gave us. It'll be, by committee at first. I do think there will ultimately be somebody that settles in and takes that role and makes it their own. The experience factor is the one thing that you can't replace, as you well know, Carolyn. That does not just get replaced, especially with first and second year kids. Sasha Goforth is a huge help to that because she played so much last year in a rugged Pac-12 for a very, defensive-minded coach and in a defensive-minded system. She will ease some of that experience loss, but we'll have to do it. We'll have to do it in practice. We'll have to do it through a lot of film with some of these younger kids to get them up to be able to replace. And two, I'm just because Taylor and Jalen and Grace and Macy didn't come back, we're going to miss them too. They were very, very important. Taylor's steady production with rebounding. Aaron Barnum has done a great job in filling some of that stuff, but you don't ever replace that type of leadership when you had 7 seniors to now only having 1. Amber's the only 4-year kid. Amber and Aaron's a 4-year player here as well. So we don't have a lot of 4-year players, but we do have some experience that can help kind of ease the loss of the people you mentioned.
Yeah, you're right. With Amber coming back, that's huge. And talking about in the scrimmage that rebounding has improved. Who has picked up that rebounding for you guys? Because that's huge for you guys.
It is really big. Well, 2 things. One, we're going to crash the boards on offense a little bit more than I have in the past. I think the moving of the 3-point line back is going to kind of make shooting percentages a little bit lower. So we're going to not rebound. We're not going to send 3 people back. We'll just send 2.5 defensively. So that'll give us another offensive rebound or 2. Michaela got a number of those in our scrimmages. But you add Sasha, who's got length. You add Jersey, who's got a lot of length. Emery Ellis has got ability to get tough rebounds that we've been getting out toughed on. Marquisha playing more minutes. Y'all have seen Marquisha jump up and get rebounds that nobody else on our team can get. She's getting more opportunity to do that. So I think it's just the fact that we've got better rebounders and a little bit more focus on it, a little bit more intent on making it a priority and emphasizing it. But they've been great with it. But it has a lot to do with we've got taller, longer, more. Everybody that's come into our practice, that's the only thing or the first thing they all say is y'all just look different because of our length. And we haven't even got Miriam out full speed. She'll get released next week, and that'll even add more of that to it.
All right, I'm going to combine 2 questions because I know we need to move on. But in talking about Marquisha Grant, she referred to more ball movement. So is that less possession for you guys? And then when it comes to the 3-point shot, will that limit or help your offense in the ability to drive to the basket versus shooting a 3?
It better help, because if it doesn't, we'll scrap it and find something new. It's got to continue to lead to either a layup, a foul, or a free throw. So if it does not lead to that, we won't be running it, because that's our formula for being able to win is get to the foul line, shoot half-court layups, and then make open threes. The ball movement, I think what she's probably talking about was, some of the Princeton stuff that we've put in as a couple of our families that plays. We're not scrapping what we've done in the past. We're just adding to it and giving us kind of a third pitch for you baseball fans. We're trying to add a third pitch in there that on certain nights when we need to get to 10 or 12 in the shot clock, we can. And I do think that it's helped us in some areas. And we're still not polished enough to know exactly how much it's going to impact us. But I do think it gives us a little bit of a different look. If I look up at Christmas and we're playing 8 or 10 possessions less, or we're attempting our points per possession is not very good, then we'll have to tweak some things. But I think where we're headed is in the right direction. I'd tell you it's helped us defensively in practice having to guard it every single day. So there's a two-sided benefit to some of those changes that we decided to go through. There's times that we stall it a little bit. I mean, we're going to have a shot clock violation. Okay, guys, get ready here locally that we're going to actually hear a shot clock. It will happen in the preseason. So if you got an over/under bet on that, bet that's happening, because we will have one eventually. But Carolyn, I think you'll see it when you see us play for the first time. It is Princeton, but it's still pretty fast.
Great, Mike. Look forward to seeing you this season.
Yeah, you too.
Russell, go ahead.
I know you mentioned conditioning. You liked where you guys were, but you guys have 4 games in 10 days, 3 and 5. Is there anything you do practice-wise, I guess, coming up here in the next week and a half?
We've already started it. I think if you wait until the day before then it's too late. You have to have their legs for the extended period. So we've started it even in the amount of time we're on the floor and recovery time, how much banging we're doing, on bodies, what we're doing in the weight room, all that stuff. Yeah, when we moved the Tarleton State game, it condensed that time frame a little bit, but not to a point where we're that concerned about it because of the added depth. Had this been a team 2 or 3 years ago, it probably would have had to have canceled a game or really restructured it. But I'm confident with 2 of them being at home and knowing the energy that we will get on the bus to go to the airport to fly to play at Connecticut. I'm not as concerned with it, but we have started already. In answer to your question, we started it even last week, making sure that they show up with healthy and happy.
Christy, go ahead.
Hey, Mike.
Hi, Christy.
One thing with all the experience you had the last couple of years is it looked like roles were easily defined, especially down the stretch. Can you kind of talk about the process that you and your staff have gone through with so many newcomers this year? And I know you haven't really played a true game yet, but just the process to get to this point as you're getting ready to tip off.
We started charting every single shot taken on day 1 that we got together back in the preseason. Every time we were in a countable hour, the way the NCAA rules work, we put a chart to it. We had somebody counting makes and misses, and we were looking at lineup efficiencies from day 1. We didn't wait until the season started. So as a result of that, we've got, over 5,000 shots worth of data and over, about 350 to 400 possessions with some lineups to know who works together well and who doesn't. We had to start that early because we knew it was going to happen faster, and we got more variables. We got more players that were plugging into that. So that means more variables to consider. So we started with that in the preseason. I had more conversations directly one-on-one with individuals as we started to progress. We still, like you said, we haven't really made any strong full decisions because it's still too early. But they're starting to take shape. Like I said, I fully think there's 9 kids in there that are ready to and could and prepared to start. And then I think we got 4 more ready to do what is ever asked of them. So with that said, it's going to take us a little bit longer. I don't think you would say that about us after watching us play, 2 or 3 weeks of the season. It may appear disjointed at times. There's going to be some lineups that we're still experimenting with, see who starts well, who comes off the bench well, who plays well at the end of the 3rd quarter and 4th quarter. But we've done an awful lot of talking and visiting with individually and as a team that, more so than ever, this is going to be a full team effort. There's been times we've relied on 2 or 3 individuals probably too much. That's not going to be the case moving forward with the team that we have right now. And this is the same. We're going to have this same team for a number of years. If you look at the number of years of eligibility left on these kids, regardless of the COVID situation, we're going to have a lot of these kids together. So this is like, it's almost like we're starting back over a little bit, but not picked 14th in our league. We're picked 7th or whatever we were picked by. That's a better place to be. We're not at the very bottom. We're at the, so we are headed into a different spot, but I think that's what you've got to do in this league. You can't, you can't go from the bottom to the middle to the top right off the bat. You got to spend some time in the middle to get to the top. And I think that's where we're at and where we're building toward going.
And previously, it was always shot distribution over like a 5-game span with Chelsea, with all those guys. Because you have, I'm going to use your term, the unique pieces. Is that going to look different this year? And if so, how have you guys gone about figuring that out?
Yeah, I think it'll still be, you've got to have a sample of data. It can't be a 1-game or a 2-game deal. So I still think we need to look up after 5 games and, we need Amber and Michaela and Aaron being toward the top of those attempts numbers and getting to the foul line. Aaron's going to, maybe take some of those, get to the foul line opportunities that Chelsea had last year. And again, Sasha, I hope she keeps playing as well for y'all to see her as she has in the preseason. She's just been really, really explosive. And anybody that's been in here, I'm not going to compare her to Chelsea. I'm not going to compare the 2 players, but she does a lot of what people will call Chelsea-like things. She can drive it. She can shoot it. She can get herself to the foul line. And then you throw on the fact that she's one of our best rebounders and one of our longest defenders. I think you'll see her, in that role as well, like you're talking about, Christy.
And then last question is just, you're better on the glass defensively now because of the length and size. What might look differently from you guys?
We're going to play a little bit more zone because I do think we can really stretch out. We've got a lineup that we can put out there that pretty much covers sideline to sideline, just being in the right spot and putting your arms out. So I think we'd be foolish not to try some of that with certain lineups. You'll see a little more half-court zone. I think you could see us trapping some, looking to try to turn some people over, which has never been something that we've spent much time on, but has looked good in the preseason. And we'll see if we can carry that over to games. But those would be the 2 biggest things, I think. Like when you'd say, well, I've never seen them do that. It's because of we've got some personnel now that can, and the depth to back that up that, requires extra conditioning. It requires might get in foul trouble a little bit more when you're more aggressive, and that'll be okay because we've got some solutions if those become problems.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Jacob, go ahead.
Mike, I'm curious, last year, it was obviously, you coached in a way that you've never coached before. You did things in ways that you've never done before. Is there anything that you found that you liked that you did last year that maybe you're carrying over to this year, or are you completely going back to 2019?
No, we've made some things. We don't have a locker room still. We keep a little tape down area outside where the kids come, and they can go back there now but they're out there a lot. We kept that. It's fun to see them out there getting prepared for practice and hanging around after practice instead of just going back there and getting huddled up in the locker room. We've kept that. We're going to have some travel days that will be day of, not all of them like they were last year, but we'll keep a few of those in place. I think some of the things that we learned we'd been doing some things just out of sheer tradition and fear of, well, if we don't do that and it doesn't work, we're gonna look like we're not doing what everybody else does. Well, when you can't do them, nobody else did them. Well, they weren't really that necessary. We've done more things electronically that we don't have to spend time. Our film is more streamlined, and I think as a result, our kids have a little more time to study, a little more time to get extra shots up, and a little more time just to be a college kid. So we're going to keep all of those things in place. But I do think, having fans back was going to be the number one thing that is different and is going to impact us, because we definitely fed off of our energy in our building and fans. The nights that we had this place full, we did some great things. We went 3-0 with sellouts. You beat UConn, you beat Baylor, and you beat Alabama with sellouts. So it's going to be great having our fans back and being able to stay and sign autographs after. Our kids missed all that. But there'll be a few things. You'll see a few things stick around that were COVID positive in a good way.
And then you mentioned Miriam a little earlier, but so you do expect her to play a role this season?
She hopes so, and we do too. She had initially been conditioned to think that she was going to redshirt, and that when she got here, her knee was in a little bit better shape than maybe we had thought, and her rehab has gone has gone well. So she'll be released within a day or two to join us on the floor for some non-contact stuff, which is way ahead of schedule for where she had projected to be. So there's nothing for sure set, but we'll keep listening to doctors and then let her and her family make the decision whenever that time comes. If she wants to come in, obviously it's not going to be these first couple of weeks. So do you want to come in at midseason? We'll see where she's at, but she's just a joy to be around. Sometimes when kids are injured, it's hard to be around it because they miss it so much. She's out there shooting free throws. She's out there listening. She's asking questions about terminologies. So she is certainly doing all the things of somebody who you would expect is expecting to play. She's not gonna be one of those kids that waits until she finds out to play and then tries to catch up. If she gets clearance and she and her family decide that's what's best, whenever that is, she's going to be ready. She's going to be prepared. She's in that training room every time I walk by. Like I said, she's out with practice. She's involved. She's not withdrawn from it. And that's to me is a sign that she's hopeful. And I try not to get myself too excited because she goes about 95% from the free throw line when we're shooting free throws. And, she's getting, Jersey tries to high five her and Jersey has to jump to reach her. That just blows your mind when you look at that you could add even more length on there than what we do have. And it's fun with what we do have, but now you inject another energetic, athletic, talented player. That could be exciting, but that'd be a nice Christmas present. Anybody's thinking of Christmas list, Mary and being healthy in December would be a good one.
Thanks, Mike.
You got it.
Porter, go ahead.
Coach, got two quick questions, and you might already just answered. My first one is just what was your biggest surprise in this off season? And with so much talent, how important is it that you have someone like Michaela that can get out there and no matter what other four's on the floor, she can sit there and kind of get them to settle down? Because you've said previously, you really don't like calling timeouts to have faith in your team. So how big is it having Michaela out there be that floor general?
Well, it's funny because your two questions, you asked two, but they actually have one answer. Samara Spencer, we knew she was good, but we didn't have any idea how freshman ready she would be. We had seen her play at a high level during the summers. She's played with people we trust and everybody said it, but until they get here, you never know how a kid, but very, very much like Michaela Daniels, and that the two kids who have kind of moved from the furthest out to come to school here have been two of the most freshman-ready guards I've ever been a part of. This kid is mature. She's handled the move. She's handled her classes. She's handled her NIL. She's handled her business, and she has stepped in, and there's not a shy bone in that kid's body. So we have, again, I don't like to compare, but we've got another young Michaela Daniels type. They're different. They're different how they go about it. Their tactics are different. Their game's a little bit different, but there's, their results. There's gonna be times we're playing them together, and that showed up. They scored, their lineup scored on 10 of 12 possessions in our closed door scrimmage. That's pretty hard to stop. So there's gonna be times they're gonna be on the floor together. You see Mac handling it and pitching it to her, and her handling it and pitching it to Mac. So she was probably the biggest surprise because we saw her the least probably. You don't get to go to 7 games when she's in Fort Lauderdale. Like I did, I knew Emory Ellis was going to be prepared. I saw her play, 7 times. I knew, wasn't 100% sure exactly where Sam would be, but man, she's been very, very impressive for, just the way she's handled it. But when you meet her and you're around her, y'all will get a chance to meet her. She oozes. She'll be a natural. If y'all haven't had her on here, she's a natural. She loves it. She does it for the right reasons. She does it the right way. And she earned our kids' respect really, really quick.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
We'll go to CJ and Brett for the last two.
I'll jump in.
Go, Brett.
All right, Mike, back to this role development real quick. With your depth, do you think there's a possibility where in the non-conference schedule, your rotations may be based on who you're playing, or would you ideally like to have your rotations be your rotations against different type of opponents?
Yeah, I don't know that we'll do it personnel based. I think we'll do it based on what we want to try to see. Want to see these different people in roles to tip off and who comes off. I don't think we'll look necessarily at specific matchups in the first 2 or 3 weeks, especially in that first week. I think it'll be more based on giving everybody an opportunity to try a couple of different things. See where you're most comfortable. But I do say this: I would almost guarantee that this will be the first time in history I've made a starting lineup change without an injury or a COVID test being involved. I've usually got it by then, and we stick with it and, adjust as we go. But I do think this is a particular, because of the makeup of our team and the way we've gone about it. You'll see some other changes too. We've really de-emphasized starting. I'll leave that little nugget hanging out till Friday night, but starting is going to be less of a deal than it's ever been. We as coaches say that a lot. Start who finishes and who, starting's not important, but then sometimes we make starting a big deal. They get their names in the paper and they get their, stuff like that. So y'all are going to have a hard time getting it out of me, as well as you may not know till we tip off. Just a little spoiler alert.
You need to be a big league pitching coach now in today's day and age. And I appreciate the baseball analogy, adding the third pitch, because it all makes sense.
Yeah, there you go. Try to speak in images is what I do, Brett.
CJ, you got one more to close us out? I think you're muted.
There it is.
All right. There we go. Coach, Michaela was top subject that the players talked about her being a leader of this team. What are some things you've seen from her this year before the season has started?
Her voice is what you hear more than what you see. We've always seen it. She's always led by example, but now she's jumping out first to tell a younger player maybe where to go to start and a better way to do things, or just a different look. Been much more proactive in handling things before they become things. There's been a lot of times in the past when things become things. Well, she's taking care of stuff before it even became a thing. She knows why we do everything. I think she has the sense too now. And I think she did it the right way, guys. Listen, I'm not telling you that it would have been a wise decision for her to come in with the team we had in the past and be very vocal. I think she is very wise beyond her years. And again, I've spoken about her parents, how they should write a book about raising a Division I student athlete. But she listens, and now she's talking more, but you hear it more than you see it, CJ. But the part you will see is she's in the best shape she's ever been in. I think she's capable of playing as many minutes as we ask her to. And she's just genuine. She's really bought into, we talk all the time about living in a reality world. I think this is a kid who embodies that maybe as good as anybody. When things are tough, it's okay. She acts like things are tough. When things are too easy, she tells me, Coach, we got to get better. We got to go harder. So her voice is what you hear more, but then you see too, she's shooting it better. She's driving it better. She's passing it better. She's defending better. I wasn't just talking to you about that. That's real. You will see that she has improved in all facets of her game and added the voice part, the vocal part.
And Coach, you talked about the starting lineup, and you also talked about how deep you can go with this team. How deep can you go as far as players?
I would not have problems starting 9 different people on Friday night. There's 9 people that I've got full confidence that would be able to go out there and tip off. And I've got confidence in all 13 of our able-bodied players to know what to do in their role when they come in. So we could play 13, and I could start 9, I think, and not lose one more second of precious sleep around our house that is to be had. Having confidence in those kids. I think you'll see us early in the year have 9 or 10 kids play double figure minutes, which is not something that's been indicative of our teams in the past. So it will be, like I said, it's new. It'll be new for me to evaluate and see how we feel. But as long as our points per possession and our those things stay up in the areas where they have been in the past, I think playing more players obviously gives us more opportunities to win late in the year, to be able to handle the dings and the dents that come with the long season and being fresh and healthy. There is no question in my mind that we didn't peak last year at the right time for the first time because of all the added things that we put on to our kids throughout COVID. There is no question in my mind that we were tired. We were not the healthiest, happiest team at the end of the year that we'd been the previous 8 years. So that will be my last filter in everything, every decision that's made is, can we get back to being the team that plays their best in March rather than the other way around?
Thanks, Coach.
You got it.
Thanks.
All right. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Mike.
Bet.